Hello, this is video number 2 for September 12th, Thursday of 2019. Now, the editors asked me if I would clarify the petition, or the use of the petition, and the GoFundMe. The idea behind the GoFundMe, of course, is to pay for the legal challenges that we experience, or we expect to increase drastically here pretty quick. The other thing that we're doing with the petition is we're dividing these class action suits. Now we'll get into I'll explain the class action suits in a second, but we're dividing them into different actions. It's not just one class action suit available here. We're talking about the industry, about after the government, the industry. So we have several class action suits, and they involve the fact that the government's colluded and abdicated their responsibility to the industry, and the industry has created a criminal extortion that has forced you to have to financially support an industry, whether or not there's the availability of actually benefiting from it yourself. Now, let me explain that to you. As you're a worker in today's industry, you could have, say, $2,000 worth of tickets, or say you're just lucky, you only need 2 tickets. Let's say you're only out $400, $500. Anywhere from that, you could have a lot more. So for you to be eligible to go to work, you need to have these tickets. Prior, say we go back all the way to when I started, there was no ticket eligibility. Some of these tickets still existed. They were part of the occupational health and safety mandates, believe it or not. They weren't, even though the industry likes to say they were theirs. The industry really doesn't create jack shit for themselves. They steal whatever they can. They generally collude with government to get away with it, or they try to, and that's what they tried to do in our case. And so that's what we're going to explain to you. So as a worker today, you pay for your own tickets. Now you're available to go to work. There's no guarantee you have work. So you might sit at home. You just borrowed, stole, prostituted, sold drugs, whatever it took to get the money to get these tickets. Now you're sitting at home. That's not here nor there. But the idea is that without these tickets, you can't go to work. It doesn't mean that you don't know how to do the work. There's no qualifications that I say, okay, I can do the work. You're not going to work without these things. That's one class group. Another class group is the companies that most of you work for. Most of you are going to work for the service industry, the supply industry. So these service companies, these supply companies that you work for, they're required to go take these safety builder courses. These safety builder courses allow them to go get their core, their certificate of recognition, small certificate of recognition or C-Corps if they're a smaller employer. From once they have these programs, they're now eligible to go build a safety program based within the Corps after you've taken this 2-day course. In this 2-day course, they teach a program called the Field Service Management System, or FSMS. The Field Service Management System is what our issue is with the industry, with the government. It's what we've taken because it allows us to identify safety issues and accountability issues within the industry that are beneficial to the industry itself, beneficial to the workers, beneficial to the environment. We've identified these, and we've been working on this program for 17 years. When the government, we've been involved with it for 17 years. So when it showed up many years ago, after Klein's resignation, and it showed up a few years after that in the safety builder course. When this showed up, we had a stake in it, but politically at that time, the environment wasn't conducive for us to do anything. I mean, basically, they took it, they laugh in your face, have a good day, and there's nothing you can do about it. If you watch some of our other videos, you'll hear we've gone through this on a few times of doing business, especially in Alberta, which really sucks. But I mean, a lot of these people doing it to you, believe it or not, they're not from Alberta. I mean, my family has a very long ties to Alberta, historical ties to Alberta that go back to the creation of the farming industry and the irrigation industries. So when I talk about Alberta, I'm not, or the oil and gas industry. I've been in the oil and gas industry. It's my 4th decade. This is this is an industry that I hold near and dear, and I want to see it improved. I don't want to see it abused, and that's what I'm seeing. So the service industries have to go take this course. If they want to get work, they're like the workers. Now they have to take this course, but the capital cost of that course is and maintaining these clerical administrative. That's all there is. They're clerical administrative safety programs. Have they keep anybody work? Well, I don't know. A piece of paper keep you safe? A piece of paper can keep you safe. They're the safest damn thing out there. Now, we all know, we all work in the industry, that these are jokes. It doesn't matter. You can talk to the drilling consultants, you can talk to the oil and gas representative in anywhere outside of their office or outside of the sphere where they might be heard. And every one of them, even though they might want to say it in front of each other, but they'll definitely say it to any individual on the street, that they're all a joke. They know they're a joke. The content or the idea behind them wasn't that bad. But again, they turn it into something that was designed. The field service management system was designed to be a cooperation between the industry and the service and supply chain, so that it was a symbiotic relationship. Therefore, there was features and benefits for both of them. And what the industry did is they took it and they used it to browbeat you into having to join this system. And if you don't do it, you have no opportunity for work, and that becomes the extortion. It's not based on your ability to work. It's not based on your ability to conduct your job. It's based on it's a clerical difference to whether or not you can work or not. So the industry itself, the services are extorted by it. The workers are extorted by this system, and that's what we're getting after. So, but now when we look at the petition, I need to know who you are. Are you a worker? Are you a current service, or are you a past service? So, I mean, you have to expect a lot of companies have gone out of business through this last little while. So in the last 10 years, you were responsible. You had to do this. You were extorted into doing this, right? Now, there's capital costs that you shouldn't have had to incur. If the industry wanted, the industry should have paid for it. That's how it works out. If they wanted to strip you of the features and benefits that they knew were in the field service management system and your cooperation, therefore that they were as accountable as you were, they should have paid for it, and they didn't do it. Instead, they forced you. You either paid for it or you didn't get any work. So that's an extortion. Now, where did they get the authority from? They got the authority from the government, and the government used our program. That's what we contend. That's why we have all this historical documentation saying, well, here we're negotiating. Here we're all partnered up together on this. Everybody's in agreement. Then all of a sudden, you guys just take it. You could have funded it. Well, you ended up funding it one way or another, but you didn't fund us, right? You took it. You didn't fund us, and that works. For this class action suit. Now, if you're a service company, I mean, I guess technically still am a service company, but if you're a service company, you say, okay, Tim, we can't. All of a sudden, you're gonna start hearing this. Tim, we can't use you anymore. Tim, I'm really sorry. I want to use you, but you're making too many waves. I gotta feed my family. I gotta consider my family first. So when you start hearing these things, I mean, I don't want you people to hear that. I don't want you service companies hearing that. I hear it. But, I got big shoulders. But you know what? I'm not an independently wealthy man. I just happen to have the information, right? I just happen to have the evidence. I just happen to have everything. And what we've done is said, okay, you need cover. And trust me, you might not want to join us, but that's fine. So my buddy said, who are you going to sue? Why are you suing these people? It reminded me of the bank when the bank said, why are you going after these nice officers and directors? I said, well, you know any of them? They said, no. I said, well, the reason I'm going after the nice officers and directors is because they can affect the change that needs to be changed. I said, nobody else can. They can. And by refusing to, they became liable, which ended up at the PMO. And that's what we've done for you. The reason we've gone to the PMO for the Attorney General's lawsuit, when the Attorney General's response, we talk about the lawsuits. The reason we write these letters, so we get these responses, so we can explain to you how the abdication and the obfuscation, how the collusion and the corruption, how it all works and how it all channels together. That's the reason why we're doing these video series, so you can understand how this all works. So when we try to explain to you, here we have 17 years worth of proof, and here's the problem. The industry, if you're sitting as a service company and you don't want to join us, that's fine. I'm going to sue you. And the industry has already set it up. Now, the reason we set it up for $35,000 because in my jurisdiction, that's the most I can get at a small claims court. So now we had to establish the price. So we established the price for the industry in May 23rd and again on October 4th. So the industry, we extended their deadline if they wanted to contest our pricing structure or our ownership of the field service management system. It's kind of hard to contest something that your name's been all over for 17 years, but regardless, nobody ever has. Therefore, that is now an established price. So $35,000 a year, if you've been in the business for the last 10 years, we're just going to use using 10 years for an example, you now owe us $350,000. You can fight me all you want, because I'm just going to sue you 10 times the small claims court, and you're going to lose 10 times the small claims court. It's not only going to lose $35,000, you're going to lose 3 days of your life in each case. Now, the reason we're going to do that is because, I mean, you can avoid that. All you have to do, sign a petition, right? Tell us who you are, right? On the other side over here, help fund the class action suit. That's what the GoFundMe is all about. So we can hire the lawyers, so you can come back. Now, by signing the class action suit, you fill out the categories you're where you fit. Are you a worker? Where are you a worker? Are you a business? Where are you a business? Are you still a business? How do you fit in it? Right? If you got a buck, put a buck in the GoFundMe. If you got nothing, don't put anything in. Right? That's fine. But sign the petition. Because the petition is what we're going to use to attract the best lawyers. The more names we have on that petition, the more we have lawyers. If you're tired of an industry that's not even owned by Canadians anymore, right? If you think our oil and gas industry is owned by Canadians, or any of our industries are owned by Canadians, just ask the politicians. Ask your politicians when they're standing up there and they're talking to you, this going on. Say, what is the ownership percentage of our public companies? And they'll come back 85 or 90% are foreign owned. So when they turn around and they give out dividends, and foreign investors or foreign shareholders do not have to pay taxes on the dividends they're getting, and if you're 85 or 90% of your public companies are foreign owned, let's see if I can do the math here. That's 85 or 90% of the revenue on these public companies, are pretty much a great big chunk of your GDP just left without being taxed. And then on top of it, these same people, because of the laws. And here's the fun one. Yesterday we had a guy die named T-Bone Pickett, right? Well, T-Boone Pickett, right? T-Boone Pickett when he died. So T-Boone Pickett in our oil and gas industry, he's very famous. In the Wall Street investment scene, he's very famous. What he's really famous for is in the 80s, he came along and he said, he died at 93 years old, so he's famous for a lot of things. But in the 80s, he come along and he fought for what's called shareholders' rights. Now, shareholders' rights, unless you're a shareholder, which 90% of the people listening to this are not, you don't have shareholders' rights. Shareholders have rights. So there's corporations have governance boards. The governance boards are there to look after the shareholders' rights, to ensure that the profitability is maximized for the shareholders at all cost. The shareholders are maintained, or their rights and value is maintained at all cost. So the shareholders, as a matter of fact, is written into that the shareholders are the first in line. So you see when these businesses go out of business, and all of a sudden these locked-in pension plans come up, and they don't have to get paid, and the shareholders keep getting paid. We keep hearing about this stuff over and over. So if you wonder why that happened, T-Boone Pickett actually had a lot to do with that. But that's something you guys can research on your own. So when we're looking at what we're doing, right, I'm not expecting you to put your business out there. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to be me, right? I don't want you to jeopardize a damn thing. All I want you to do, sign the petition. You sign the petition, right? It comes back to me. I send you a letter. You can send it out to all the other service companies you know. Say, Tim, send me a letter. I'll send you a letter. Here you go. There, you can go ahead and use this intellectual property for this period of time. You're on the petition. You can go fund us. What's the worst that can happen? You can win. What's the worst that can happen? You can have a real safety program. Because if you read the field service management system, right? If you want a copy of it, we'll get the kid to post it online here one of these days. If you read it. We'll do the marketing plan because it's the simplest one. But if you read it, you'll understand that the features and benefits were beneficial to both the industry and the oil and gas companies. And they ensured that as the work was reduced or increased, that there was enough work spread around to maintain a safe level. So now where we have a NAFTA Chapter 11, where you hear me talk about issues because of these safety programs and the imagination of this corruption, collusion, abdication, and obfuscation by people that really shouldn't have jobs. Right? We discussed that in the last video if you watched it. What actually really happens is Who's created the scalability issue? So you create a scalability issue. What's the next thing that happens? Oh, we don't have the right qualified people. So the industry has to say, screw the whole program. So, that's what I had a consultant call me up the other day, and he said, Tim, he said, I think they're talking about just getting rid of the whole damn thing, this whole safety crap. And I said, well, it's probably, if the industry gets busy, if all of a sudden it's bang, boom, baby, let's go, like it did happen in 2003, then, you can pretty much ensure that, if you got 2 feet in a heartbeat, you're working, all right, for a little while anyhow, until they get back to it. So, right now, we've discussed how all these things came about, but as far as the petition, if you're not willing to sign the petition, then I don't think that you should even have a job. That's kind of the way it works. If you're not willing to help fund, your own future, right? Then, you know what? We've put up a lot of money. Like I said, we started with 12 people. There's 5 of them dead now, right? I've gone through a couple of relationships and lost a few houses over this deal already. That's just me personally. But again, I don't want you to do that. If you're the business owner, right, or past business owner, sign the petition. If you can afford to help out a little bit, fund us, right? Take this, share this. Ask your other businesses to get involved, because here it is. It's sitting here. Go take a look at your safety plan builder course. There it is, field service management system. How did it get there? I know it got there, but that's the whole point. So you don't think we're going around putting out people's names? Attorney General Giulio Paletti, after we sued the Prime Minister over the same thing. Why did we sue the Prime Minister? Because we went to the Prime Minister with an identifiable hazard, which we all know from our safety programs, we have to identify those hazards. We followed the rules and regulations of 217.1 with former Bill C-45, which we know is the Criminal Liability of Organizations Act. We went to 637 officers and directors, the 64 top oil and gas companies. We've gone to the other industries or the other players in the industry, the government. We finally ended up at a guy by the name of Justin Trudeau, or the PMO's office. So there we played had a little bit of fun with him. So we identified something that Mr. Paletti didn't, right? Which we point out in that article that there was an amendment to jurisdiction that happened in '92. So he used a law from '85 that he shouldn't have. But so that's where we're at with that. But again, we're dealing with an extremely corrupt government. We're dealing with corrupt bureaucracy, corrupt government. We're just going to keep exposing it. But on the way down, right, we need your support, right? If you want change, right, we're trying to offer you change. We put everything up for you already. We didn't come and ask you for anything. But you know what? Now we're in a position where you can go and you can legally say to everybody, right? If we don't support this, at least put our name on this and support it, then we got to pay this guy. Do you see the next class action suit? The industry forced you to take a course with the government permission. They're running the government's course, by the way. Okay, that's what that field service management, that's why you take a core program. The industry is in charge of administering this course for the government. Therefore, then that was voluntary. That's how they try to get around it. But the voluntary course becomes mandatory as soon as you put ComplyWorks and ISN onto it. Once you've done that, they try to get around that by saying that they're private business. But they lose that distinction because every time as soon as you download it, what happens? It doesn't matter if it's CNRL or if it's Birchcliff or it's Encana. They take it and they make little changes they want. But that's an audited document. How do you change an audited document? Now what they've done, they just said, this is our business. It's not a private business. Anyhow, so there you go. Unless you want to give me $35,000 a year for every year you've been running your safety programs, hey, I'll take it. We can call that your contribution to the GoFundUs page. If you don't want to do that, you can go ahead and contribute anything you can contribute. We appreciate it, but make sure you sign that petition. Right? Fill out where you are so we understand who you are, where you are, what you're doing. Right? Share it with everybody you can share it with. Everybody you know a business to. I don't care if they're like me or not, right? I know I'm the best looking guy in the world, so they're probably jealous. That's see, I got a good sense of humor. Anyhow, that's where we're at for the day, guys. Right? We're doing this as much for you guys. We're doing it for anybody else. We're doing this. We started this whole thing. Yeah, it's all about safety. It's all about the environment, but it's all about increases in efficiency, increases in accountability, so we can, so we can still maintain good profits. And there's no such thing as not being able to improve our position. I'm glad right now that our industry's coming along, and the Kennedy government's coming along, and they're starting to finally put out some videos, and they're starting to fight a little bit for the industry. That's nice. I mean, we've gone for a long time without it. It was just guys like us fighting for it. So, I mean, as this election cycle goes through and it becomes more apparent that Trudeau's going to be gone, what's going to happen is, if he isn't gone, none of this matters because we're probably in civil war, or at least hopefully a revolutionary war. We'll get into that. We'll get into what we sent Trudeau initially to start this thing, because it's kind of funny for you guys in the oil and gas industry. It goes to his intellect, and that's something we want to bring out right now. We're going to start doing some press stuff here right away. We're going to start sending some stuff to the press. We've been holding it off. Now the election's called, we'll start sending it to the press. The idea is that, it's not just the Trudeau government that needs their feet held to the fire. Every government does. All right, come on now. I mean, you'll hear that in the last video. You'll hear it in a lot of my videos, kind of a common theme. So again, we did this for us, did this collectively. We need your help, right? If you don't want to support that, then I don't know what you're willing to support, right? I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. If you're not willing to support this, then again, what are you willing to support? Because all I hear from people constantly over and over again is this safety crap sucks, right? And they're true. Right? This is clerical administrative safety. There has to be a certain amount of that, but at the same time, there's no real enthusiastic safety, and we're getting more and more people are getting hurt. And as we bring in more and more people that have less and less experience, as we've lost so many of the people, this much of the brain trust, more and more people are going to continue to get hurt. We're going to go through, the liability issue is going to get to the point where nobody's ever going to get paid for getting hurt. And if you don't believe me, I got my knees crushed in 1985. I was in Alberta, but it took me 2 years to get my knee operated on. Every time they'd put cast on, I'd have to go to work to kick the cast off to go to work and be back in a cast in a couple of days, just because they wouldn't fix it. We went round and round and round for 2 years, and I never got paid. But what I did get, I started my own business, right? I supported myself. It was, it's been a trend I've done for many years, for my whole work history. Started many businesses every time there's been an issue or a slowdown or an injury. So, I mean, it taught me a lot of things, right? It's how I learned the things I learned, right? When people say, how do you know what you know? I've had dozens and dozens and dozens of law firms for partners over the years, and we've gone through dozens of different types of businesses. So we've learned a lot of things. That was a background that helped us build the field service management system. The reason we went to Ralph Klein, we've done all these things. So if you watch all these video series, you're gonna learn a lot about how the process worked, and then you can make an educated guess. I mean, it's your guess, it's your business, right? So I mean, we're trying to give you cover, so you can go ahead. I mean, everybody. I haven't found a person yet that doesn't want this, this extortion dealt with, right? It's not that they disagree entirely, but it's got a little out of hand, and I think everybody out there is going to agree. So, who are we benefiting? Let's benefit Canada. Let's benefit our industry, right? Hopefully our governments in waiting, or whoever they may be, decide to let's start looking at this as ownership profile and start doing that. Let's start looking at that type of stuff. So, until then, we got this collusion, corruption, all the rest of that stuff in government. That's a little bit bigger stuff. But for you guys, this GoFundMe stuff, I explain that stuff as I go along, so you can see the effect of us trying to do this. And this is the same effect. I mean, if you watch the show, with Aaron Brockwitz, whatever I think it was called, you watch that show. Right? It's kind of the same. It's the same process. It doesn't matter where you are, what country you are. That was in the U.S., and that's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to reduce the size of government down there, trying to get it to the point where the people are back in power, not these these elitists that are that everybody that as long as you collude with them, or they'll corrupt you a little bit, and you collude with them, and you go along to get along. Let's get back to our rights the way it used to be. All right. So I need your help. We're trying to help you as much. I mean, we've set it up so again, as the business owners, you can just simply say to your oil and gas companies that, hey, we had no choice. You guys aren't paying, right? And if they say, well, don't sign, I'd say, okay, well, we've been in business 10 years. Write us a check for $350,000 so we can send it to him for use of his intellectual property. Hey, we'll cover you off at the end of the year on that one, right? At the end of the year, just have another check for $35,000. Yeah, I'm good that way. But either that, GoFundMe. Put some dollars in the GoFundMe page. Sign the petition. Spread it around the whole damn country. Let's get it done. It's not going to take long, right? I mean, it's going to hit after the election. That's what we wanted. But you guys gotta support it. If you're not going to support it, well, then we're just going to go crazy and start sending you the prerequisite paperwork. And we don't want to do that. I'd rather you guys, hey, Big T. That's my company name, right? Big T. Can you send us some more forms so we can print them off and send them out to other businesses and talk to our other friends about it? Because that's where you're at, right? I mean, you all took the course. That's another class action suit. They forced you into it, right? You didn't know that you were, you're involved in a theft, but they put you in a theft. That's a class action suit you guys will have that I'll probably have to step away from. I'll get it going. I mean, but the thing is, I'll probably step away from it because I'll become a beneficial partner or a beneficial party to that later on. So that's kind of where we're at with that. Even though I was in that business class. So again, the appropriate marks. I was a worker the last 10 years. I own a service business, or I previously owned a service business. We'll get you to make sure so we can put you in the right class, so we know where you are. We know what petition to put your name in, and it's in some cases be in all of them. In some cases, you're just going to be specific to some. The workers at some point are going to come back and have their rights reinstalled. If these oil companies, then they want to take all the profits out of Canada tax free. Well, at least they can do is pay for the damn safety programs. If that's the least that happens, right? It's a lot better than we are today. There we go. We've done away with scalability. Guess what? That works in the oil companies. You benefit too, because right now, if it scales up, just like in 03, 04, 05, 06, guess what happened? It got so bad. I don't know how many, if you lived up north where I live, you remember in Canada all of a sudden writing letters to the op-eds to the Fort St. John newspaper. Now in Canada, you got to remember, it's saying Canada. And here they are, they're writing op-eds about getting gouged. Now that's the funny part, because I said in Canada and gouged. They're the company that's most recognized as the biggest gougers out there. But I mean, it's to the point I've heard some companies are now firing in Canada. I think that's funny that they're no longer they're not working for them anymore either. But again, going back to the pay structure. So the pay structure that was back in a few videos. We gave you some homework if you wanted to read a beautiful article on it. I don't know if I have it written here in my notes in front of me. I probably do under the computer. Let's see. No, I don't have it in these notes. It's on one of my other note pages. But anyhow, you can go back to the videos, look at that, and I'll probably get back to it. I'll see if the editor can take some of these articles that we referenced and put them in the comment sections underneath. So there you had two long ones for you today. The sun's going down, 7:30 at night.